Let your breathing slow down. Let your mind become calm. Getting ready to make this moment awesome for yourself. Welcome, everybody.
My signature spot at the back of the class. Old habits die hard.
Well, actually, that's exactly what tonight's topic's about. Old habits. And without the right techniques, old habits do die hard. But I want to show you guys ways that we can actually be really empowered to transform ourselves more quickly, more powerfully. And I want to get you excited. What are some, if you knew that was possible, what are some great habits you'd create? Like, how good would you create yourself to feel? Or where you sit in the room's not that important, but maybe it makes a difference. Well, what kind of habits do we have in our life? And actually, no, it's bigger than that. It's not. I'm talking the word habits, and I do mean we can retrain ourselves. But everything about us is habits. Everything. The feelings you have in each situation, the ways you interact with people, what you do, everything comes down to like how you're running your mind, how you're running your feelings. And this session today wants to give you skills to transform and retrain and improve any aspect of yourself and get you excited, dreaming of the best version of you, expanding what's possible for you. So I hope that sounds good. Deeru, welcome. And actually I want to set up so that I can see those of you out on the live stream as we go. So let me just put you over here. Awesome. So any of you out there on the live stream now or watching on the video later, it's great to have you here. And those of you here in the temple, it's really precious to me that you're here. And I hope that not only the things you learn are interesting or effective, but I hope that it really helps you. Like what I'm about to teach us, or you've heard it before, some of you, what I hope to like start a fire underneath, it changed my life completely. It helped me recreate who I was into a massively more awesome version than what I was before. And I want to do the same thing for you. How does that sound?
Pretty fantastic.
Excellent.
Sounds great.
Excellent. I'm very aware that two of the guests I wanted are sitting outside the temple. I'm just going to ask if each of you can entertain each other, inspire each other for just a moment while I help get these guys here into the temple with us. Maybe you can share, Pops, I'm not sure if you're with us or if you're AFK, you can share some ways that you've found mental power-ups or things you've transformed. Deeru, you as well, and everybody else. I'll be back in just 1 minute.
I think that smart food popcorn is pretty great. Definitely transformed my life from one where I didn't have it to where I had a significant hole in my wallet.
So I think a good way to help sort of get like a boost to further your meditation practice is to try to find imagery you can visualize that works for you specifically. I feel like that could take a while to find, or you could find it very quickly depending on just yourself. But I have found that just going to different meditations and trying out different visualization, you can sort of just like end up throwing the dart, at the center point of a target and find something that works well for you. Yeah.
Awesome, Pops.
Very nice.
Any particular imagery, Popcorn, that's really helped you?
Actually, I'd love to jump in with
Good
something
question.
I think would broaden that answer, is because some imagery can be awesome, but also trying different techniques can be great. And sometimes you might even find that someone could use the same imagery one day and it seems boring and lifeless. And then someone else uses the same imagery and maybe the tone of their voice is more exciting, or maybe just the way they describe it feels good for you. Or maybe not even the imagery. Maybe the way they set it up might make it powerful. They might say to you, hey, we're going to do this, and you're going to internalize it, and it's going to be powerful. And so the way things are framed and presented to you, or the way you frame and present them to yourself, can make a huge difference. Which is more the topic of tonight's session, which is looking at how can we master our minds in general. And so when it comes to improving our meditation practice, there's many aspects of it. How often I do it, how much do I feel myself going into it, how excited am I about enlightenment or happiness, how much do I believe that I can do that. And so every one of those aspects can actually be tweaked on their own. And we're going to be looking today at the process of tweaking individual aspects. So for example, someone might believe, or they might say to themselves often and say to other people, oh yeah, when I meditate, it's okay. I have some nice moments, but other stuff happens. And I want to pose to you, or what if you were to say to yourself often, all right, when I meditate, I really get into it and it's really peaceful and the good moments just get better and better. You'll focus on them and you'll enjoy them more, and I'm suggesting that it will actually make you get better and better moments. So that's our theme for today, is looking at how we talk to ourselves and how we're just beginning the class. Come on in. Yeah. So welcome everybody. It's great to see so many of you arriving. And those of you out on the live stream, extra people have tuned in.
Not much.
It's really good. So Alton's just arrived in Temple and asked, what did I miss? So for those of you who are already here, as I restate this, I hope that it makes it feel more powerful for you. And for those of you who just arrived, I'm going to give you some context. And Alton, we are streaming. Yeah, it's going out to to YouTube and to Facebook. So we had a little discussion about ways that people can improve their meditation practice. And then I introduced the theme for today, which is we're going to be looking at how to retrain and master any part of ourselves, how to feel better, how to make new habits, how to see the habits you impose upon yourself and let go of them. And yeah, that's everything we've looked at so far, but I want to put it in the context that that's actually really covers everything in our life. Every moment you get to choose how you're feeling. Every moment what you're focusing on, how you interact, how good you are at stuff. These are all driven by the programs running in your brain. I mean, we see over here, Marlies is a robot computer. I actually like to think of myself as a biological robot computer. So here I am. I've got all these muscles and sensors. And here's my brain with lots and lots of nerves, getting the sensors in, but also choosing what to send out. And when I see myself as this programmable robot, it's a really powerful perspective. Kind of snaps me out of whatever I was in and lets me lets me think, well, what would I do if I had a $1 billion robot right here, or maybe it's $10 billion for a robot that's can self-heal and or learn as well as we can. Like, what would I do with something that was that amazing? So yeah, there's so many things we can do in every moment of our life. What do we choose to do with ourselves? How well do we use our thoughts and emotions and feelings? Hey, Alion, you can come in and sit in the temple, but if you're going to do stuff that distracts, I'm going to have to kick you. Yeah, so, what was I saying? Yeah, I guess I want to deepen that idea of like how possible it is to transform myself. There are so many programs that people just believe and just take for granted that's how they are. Like how you feel in a social situation, or whether you can sleep in a car, how well do you sleep on a plane, how you react to lots of people, how you react under pressure. What do you like on Monday mornings? How happy do you feel when you take a deep breath? Do you like fruit salad? I like this kind of music or that kind of music. If you think about it, every one of your tastes and reactions and the ways you behave, everything is a habit. It's a way of being that you might have picked up from somewhere, or that you learned from somebody, or you learned from your family, and every one of those habits can be retrained. How peaceful you feel in each moment, how happy you are, how much you laugh when there's a joke. Dan just said neuronal identification with material aspects of this realm. If you want to describe more about what you mean, I'll see what I think, how I could respond. So, yeah, what I'm trying to get at is to get all of you seeing yourself as the possibility of massive transformation, the possibility that things that were hard for you could be really easy with a shift in perspective or retraining how you react to those things. The possibility of you opening up to all kinds of amazing new feelings, seeing yourself and your possibilities in your life through new eyes. Does anyone have any questions about what I just said? Is it crystal clear? Are you exhilarated and awesome? What could I do to make it more awesome? Dan?
I'll say so. Basically, what you're saying in general is the level of consciousness that you have and control you have over the situation. And that's what meditation can bring into your life, is more awareness of a situation rather than being identified and caught up in the storm. But you can have control how you feel, how you perceive the situation.
Absolutely.
And therefore make your life better.
The regulars who come here see that I'll often describe things with two pillars when it comes to mental training. One is awareness. Instead of being caught up in your old habits, caught up in your reactions, being able to see them as habits and see them as reactions and step out of them. And instead of just seeing the labels you put on stuff and thinking, yeah, that person actually does suck, or, bah, this is a hard situation. Instead of seeing those labels and believing them, having extra awareness to be like, oh, actually, it's just a situation. There's a person with lots of qualities. How I see it, how I react to it, I'm free to choose there. So having that awareness is one of the pillars. And then the other pillar is what we're going to be focusing on tonight, I'll make lots of references to awareness and meditation, but the focus today is on what do we then do? I want to show people skills to retrain yourself. I'll give an example. I was talking many areas where we could change. So any one of those examples I just said, this applies to that as well. Let's just say you decide that you'd be better having more peace and calm in your life. And so if every day, a few times a day, you imagined yourself as a person who's calm and peaceful and took a few peaceful, calming breaths, that would train you that you have more peace and calm. I hope that seems kind of self-evident, but we can actually make that more powerful. So you take a few breaths and you feel some peace and calm, and then you start to imagine, I am peaceful and calm. And then you start to rehearse, well, what would that be like? Oh, how good would that feel? Yeah. And then you start to imagine that peace and calm is like how you see the world. I'm actually transforming myself now. What kind of attitudes would I have? How would I think differently if I was actually a peaceful, calm person? Now, I hope what I just did, some of you felt like, oh yeah, he just gave us a glimpse of some nice peace and calm. And I want you to imagine, what if you did that 3 times a day, or many times a day, and you just kept doing it until it had taken over. And I want to tell you that the impact it has is more beautiful and amazing than what you're imagining right now. If you really do it consistently throughout the day for a month or 2, the depth and the power of the change is so wild. Like the first few weeks, you're kind of getting to what you would imagine now. But then when you're there, you're like, oh my God, how peaceful and calm could I be? And then you take another week or 2 to get there. It's like consistently training transformation into ourselves. It's just so beautiful. Okay, peace and calm might sound too chill, but you can do the same thing with like being a fountain of fun and happiness. Or you can do the same thing with when I meditate, I tap into the peace and I make it so beautiful and effective for myself. Or you can do the same thing with when I walk into a party, all I feel is excitement and friendliness. Or you could do the same thing. Okay, before I got my driver's license, I'd spent the month or 2 beforehand imagining that I was an awesome driver, visualizing really clearly that I had control of everything and was just a master of driving. And I'd never actually driven, except for maybe in a dodgem car or a bumper car, whatever they call them at the sideshows, and some video games. So I got my driver's license, and then I came out to the car, and my mother was with me, and I was allowed to drive now that I had the learner's license. So I started driving, and I was pretty good at it. So much so that my mother actually freaked out. She assumed that I must have been going out and driving without a license. Which, it's been 20 years or more since then. It's still a memory for me, like how she couldn't even believe how possible that was. And I hope that you'll do similar things with yourself. Either when you want to approach a new skill, you train yourself up as best as possible as a springboard from which you learn, or things you already practice and you might think, yeah, I'm at this level. I want you to start rehearsing what would it be like to be at this level, and let yourself visualize and practice. What are the steps you do? What do my muscles feel like? What's my attention like as you get more and more awesome? So many elite athletes do this. They visualize and rehearse being awesome. And as they practice that in their mind, they can then bring those skills and attitudes to the field. So yeah, I want to inspire you to be an elite athlete when it comes to life. Awesome and happy and powerful. Any thoughts, any questions? Thanks, Dan. Dan's saying that that's a really good analogy. So I actually do really like analogies when it comes to thinking about training our mind. So an athlete training ourselves is great. I also like to think of our mind like a canvas that it's a giant canvas with all of you painted on it, all the different things you do, all the different kinds of thoughts you have, how you feel about something. It's a massive canvas when you think about everything about you that would be on there. And most people go through life kind of just living out the stories on the canvas. Every now and then, splatting some stuff on, some good stuff might happen, and they like splat on a bit of good more color on the canvas, and then some bad stuff might happen. And maybe they've been taught when the bad stuff happens, you come out stronger, so they paint some strong stuff on the canvas, or maybe they paint some less skillful stuff on the canvas. But like we're kind of unconsciously just rolling with this canvas. And what I want to inspire all of you today is, hey, I am the creator of my own consciousness. I'm going to paint what I want this picture to be like. My life is my artwork. So, not only will I splash positivity around, but I also will develop the close-up skills to be able to look and paint with a fine brush. Oh, when someone talks to me like that, this is how I respond. Or in that kind of situation, I take a deep breath. I find this kind of power. I'd be awesome. So I want you to be an amazing artist of your own life. And I also mentioned before the analogy of computer programming, where this amazing robot, and if you look at all of your different ways of being, everything, feelings, thoughts, habits, all of it as different programs, and you can reprogram them, I think that's a really empowering way to think about yourself and about life. All right. So generally in these sessions we start with an opening meditation, and then go deeper into the discussion. Is there any other questions or comments before we do our opening meditation? Sam Kitty, welcome. I know you arrived. We've already begun, but I hope the opening meditation will be excellent. To recap, we want to be this session training ourselves that we're the master of our mind. We can transform ourselves, make ourselves feel great, make new habits. And that's going to be the theme of our opening meditation and our whole session for today. All right. Well, if there's no questions, I'm going to begin our guided meditation. If you're outside the temple, I'd love you to come in and grab a seat. Excellent. So if you're brand new to meditation, let's start with the most practical thing, which is just our posture. So I just adjusted how I was sitting. I put my feet flat on the ground. I moved my knees out, wiggled my butt around. If you're on a chair, you want to be sitting like that, that sounds great. If you're on a cushion, that's also great. I would suggest, if possible, scoot forward on the cushion so that the knees are down over it, like towards the ground. Your feet and knees are below your hips. Just that slight adjustment in the angle of the hips. Many people find that makes their spine posture easier and their leg circulation better. Sometimes people like to meditate standing up. It just keeps them, they can still relax totally, but it keeps them more alert. And in some situations, people like to do a certain style of lying down meditation. So just check in with yourself. What feels right for you right now? And once we've decided which kind of posture we're going to have, we're going to just scan through our body. And the body scan helps align our posture, but also it has many other benefits. Scanning through the body can make each part of the body feel relaxed. And as we relax the body, it lets the mind and the emotions become relaxed, which makes more spaciousness within your consciousness. So it just kind of takes you deeper into meditation. You might have already noticed my voice shifted gears a little bit, because as I started scanning my body, I started feeling this more beautiful peace and presence. So I hope that I'll also take you there as well. So let's begin the meditation. I invite you to close your eyes. Most schools of meditation will close their eyes because you're stepping within yourself. This is your own consciousness we're playing with. Some schools will have it open for different reasons. So I invite you to close them, but you do whatever's right for you. And just feeling your toes and your feet and your ankles. But feel your feet again, and your toes again, and your feet again. And so as you're moving your mind around your feet, just notice what it's like. Some people will notice each time they sweep the mind back and forward, their feet feel more relaxed, more tranquil. Or those of you who know these magical meditation sensations, they just feel more and more of them as they sweep their mind through. And maybe you'll notice that as you're feeling your toes and the feet and the ankles, some of you might just really feel the muscles relaxing. Or some of you might really see the skin and the muscles and the nerves. Some of you might see waves of colour moving back and forward. So just notice what you're doing as you feel your toes and your feet and your ankles. And then feeling the feet, take a really slow, peaceful breath and just let your feet relax. Be at peace. One more of those. Just let the feet, the ankles and the toes go a little deeper into peace. And those peaceful feelings are going to start flowing up through the legs. And you might be wondering, if I was talking about being awesome and full power, why are we starting off with relaxation? I want you to imagine that we're making some space. We're letting everything be calm, letting the mind and the feelings be calm. It's like stepping into this place of pure freedom, where old habits, they've all settled right down, and then you're free to create something new. So as you're scanning your awareness up through the legs, letting the legs relax, you can feel that the relaxation that you're making, you're actually really giving yourself a gift of peace and of freedom. You feel the calves and the knees and the thighs and the knees and the calves, all through the muscles in the calves, all through the muscles in the knees, all through the muscles in the thighs. And so feeling the legs, the knees, the ankles, the feet, you take a deep breath. And just letting it all relax even deeper. And so as you just keep feeling the legs, and keep taking these peaceful breaths, you might notice that the way that you focus on the peaceful breath actually makes your legs relax or feel good in different ways. You might have noticed when I said magical meditation feelings, you felt those magical meditation feelings. You might have noticed the different suggestions I gave shaped your experience. You are actually the master of your consciousness. The way you imagine going into the meditation shapes what happens. So I just invite you, we're going to take one more breath on the legs. Imagine your legs being at perfect peace and that relaxation taking you deeper into calm and freedom. And then feeling your hips, feeling your abdomen and the muscles on the sides of your body and your lower back. Take a deep breath down. Relax. And the next deep breath, you're going to breathe it in as far as you can and hold it in. That just helps us be aware of our posture, how you're standing, how you're sitting. And then as you breathe out, just letting your spine relax in a way that feels alert and powerful. And you take another deep breath. Feel your lungs, feel your ribs, feel the muscles in your upper back. Maybe you can feel the lungs expanding and contracting inside. And then feeling into your shoulders. Whoa, if you pay attention, there's so many muscles and places in your shoulders. So many sensations. Maybe you want to let your head dip forward or side to side, feeling the different muscles stretching. You could reflect how amazing it is that there's so many different sensations you can have. You take a deep breath and let the peace go down through your legs, down through your torso, down through your shoulders, and down through your arms, down through your hands, your fingers. And then just notice how it feels different as we take some deep breaths and feel our awareness coming up through the fingers and arms, up through the legs, up through the spine and lungs, up into the shoulders. Bring your awareness up into the neck and up into the head. And I just want you to feel how amazing it is that you can transform how you're feeling in just a few minutes. Breathing and shifting your attention can bring you this peace, this calm, this stillness. Every little moment of peace and stillness It's just so nice. And as you're just breathing there and enjoying the peace and the calm that you created, I invite you to get just a little bit excited about this possibility. I can train peace, I can train confidence, I can make myself better at sport, I can make myself better in social circumstances, I can make myself better at math. Just taking some powerful breaths and imagine the part of you that can visualize and rehearse and transform yourself. And imagine that part becoming stronger and stronger, more vivid, more able to imagine any kind of feeling. Making that part of you be awesome. Maybe just that abstract, just any kind of transformation, feeling that part of you be awesome, pumping that up, you can just ride that into infinity. Or maybe you want to infuse that in with practical things. You could see yourself having peace in each day. You could see yourself improving your working technique. You could see yourself improving your sports. You could see yourself rehearsing happiness and bliss. You could see yourself practicing kindness and caring. You could see yourself practicing compassion for all beings. You could see yourself making new kinds of friends. You could see yourself more easily making environmentally responsible decisions. You could see yourself as an entrepreneur or a leader or a creator. You could see yourself loving exams, being peaceful in your studies. You could see yourself being able to relax on planes or sleep on planes. You could see yourself responding calmly in any kind of situation. You know what? Bigger than any of the examples I could give you, I want you to imagine, what if I fully embraced that I could reprogram my mind? And I asked myself, what would the most amazing human possible be? What if I fully embraced that realization, instead of just thinking of me a little bit better? Or instead of imagining the best thing I think I am possible, what if every one of my thoughts and feelings from now on was rehearsing an enlightened world? What would be the ideal possible human? What ways would they act and feel and talk and listen? And for the last part of this meditation, I have two goals. One is I want you to feel the part of you that can transform you, the part that can rehearse, can transform, that can let go of old stuff and create new stuff, that can practice a feeling and make it great, that can rehearse how you act and how you move and how you talk. That part of you of transformation, I want to make that part awesome. And my other intention is for you to have some specific transformations that would be really great for you. So I'm going to talk about some different areas of life, and I'm going to give some suggestions. But I want you to put your full creativity on right now. So as I talk about different areas in life, let yourself imagine what you'd like to become, your best you. So if you could choose any suite of feelings in your life, what kind of feelings would you like to cultivate? How much peace would there be? Would you be kind of chill? Would you be pretty chill? Would you be a very calm, steady person? Would you be an ocean of equanimity? Would you be infinite peace? How much caring would you be? A little caring, a lot caring? Compassion for most beings? Compassion for all beings? An overflowing fountain of love and consideration for every conscious being in the universe? What would you choose? How much happiness would you have? How much would you laugh? How much would you be excited? If you could choose any amount, how much anger would you choose? How much frustration would you choose? How much sadness would you choose? For me, the answer to those three is 0. That's what I would choose. And that's what I'd practice. And just let yourself, what other kinds of feelings would you like to practice? Joy, laughter, care, focus, power, gratitude, playfulness, cheekiness. Just let yourself feel into all the kinds of feelings that you want to practice into your life. Imagine if right now you're going to fill yourself up so completely with all the feelings you choose that all the other feelings, they just didn't even have any space anymore. You just filled yourself up with everything you'd want. Let yourself feel everything you would choose to practice. So as we're just letting ourselves imagine the best version of ourselves, you've spent some time thinking about what kind of feelings you want to practice into yourself. Next, I invite you to think about the social sphere. How you'd like to relate to friends and strangers. I just want you to imagine your ideal way of being. How friendly are you? How much do you listen? How calm are you? How much do you laugh? How much do you make things happen? How do you speak to people? What kind of tones of voice are your standard ways of being? I'll be quiet for a little bit. And you just imagine your ideal way that you'd like to relate to your friends, to co-workers, classmates, family, strangers. And I hope whatever you're imagining feels good. So just take some deep breaths as you feel these positive transformations that you're beginning. And as each one of us is practicing how you would relate, imagine that your friends would actually feel this transformation you're doing right now. If you imagine the best version of you, how would you relate in the kindest, strongest, most inspirational way, or the most peaceful way? Whatever you'd imagine is the best way of relating. Feel yourself rehearsing it now, training it into yourself, and make it real. Imagine they're here with you right now and you're treating people like that, and they felt it and they interacted back with you in that way. Maybe you notice it as we imagine your ideal self. There's some stuff you're holding on to, which kind of feels like a bit of a block. Maybe there's some facade you feel like you have to put up, or maybe you think communicating just clearly and directly is hard work, or maybe there's some thoughts around not just being honest. And I invite you to just let go of anything that's like kind of holding back your ideal. Just let it all go and just be the most gracious, elegant, powerful, assertive, wise, inspiring, wonderful being you can imagine. We're going to move this topic of self-transformation from how we relate. I want you to think of your work or your studies. You know, you can practice enjoying things more. Or you can practice whatever kind of attitude you want. Or you can visualize performing better. You could imagine being fascinated by your teachers or your co-workers. You could imagine how you want to, what would the ideal way of being on Monday morning or Friday afternoon. You could imagine how you want to be in tests, or rehearse how you want to feel in exams. Maybe there's many more things you'd imagine around your ideal work life. How you build teams, how you achieve things, how you keep track of things, or how you report it, how you go for a promotion. Let yourself visualize your ideal. Or maybe work or study doesn't even relate to you. Maybe you're your own freelancer. Maybe you're building your own business. Let yourself visualize how you create your venues. Maybe you're building a charity. Maybe you're building a movement. Whatever it is that you're working on. Maybe you're creating art and music. Whatever it is you're working on, let yourself visualize your ideal way of being creative. And I like to really make meditation real and effective. So if lots of different ideas come to mind, you can imagine what would be the outcomes of each way of being. And then you can see which one of those would actually feel better. Which of those would achieve the goals I want more. Which of those are more aligned in what I value. Which one of those will make more money. Let yourself see the brain programs you have, see the brain programs you envisage, and let your creativity flourish in the direction that will help you flourish in the ways that you value. Maybe in your work, which ways of being which will be most kind to the environment, or have the most beautiful impact on your co-workers, or on the company, or your company's impact on all the people it interacts with. Every day, what you're doing, you could make it a gift to yourself and to others. And let's just repump up that central part of us, that part of me that can visualize being how I choose. Part of me that's vivid, that can rehearse and imagine, that knows that I can practice being better and transform myself. That part of me that can make better feelings, that can take a peaceful breath, or can take a happy breath. Or can take a powerful breath. Let that part of me know that I can take feelings and I can grow them and I can practice them. I can make them part of me. Feeling yourself feel empowered and positive and awesome. This transformative part of you, we're just making it stronger and better. And we'll keep doing that forever as you become more conscious, more creative. You being the artist in your life, the painter of your own masterpiece, the writer of your own script, the programmer of your own billion-dollar brain. And so we spent some time generating and feeling the feelings we'd create and the relationships we'd cultivate and the study, work, creativity that we live. And so then let yourself visualize your ideal health life. You love healthy food. You love to exercise and play and dance and laugh. What would be your ideal way of thriving? How strong would you like to feel? How energetic would you like to feel? How fast? Maybe you'd like to choose, I really love healthy food. When it comes to thinking about taste, the stuff that's good for me tastes good. The stuff that's not, it tastes not. I'm adjusting how I see food to be more awesome for me. Helping myself thrive. Oh my God, a good salad is so delicious. I love to feel vibrant and healthy and wonderful. I love to work out often. I'm full of energy. I feel strong and careful and aware in my body. What kind of sports or activities or physical art forms like dancing or yoga or movement? Imagine your ideal life, how you treat your body. How do you treat your posture? How you treat your presence when you're interacting with others? Fit, healthy, and aware. So we've spent some time looking at fitness. We've spent some time looking at work, study, creativity. We've spent some time looking at how we relate. We've spent some time looking at our emotions. And now I'm just going to open it up. As you could rehearse any part of your life. If you're going to give yourself some gifts right now, what parts of you would be most helpful to transform? Maybe you can think of some things that are going well in you or in your life, and you could imagine how great you could make them. Or maybe you could think of some parts that aren't really happening and what you could create there. Or maybe you could think of some of the parts that are hardest, and what it would be like to just totally transform that. Each breath just brings you back to that anchor. Right now, I'm transforming myself. Just let yourself envisage whichever parts of your life will be most helpful for you to improve or to transform. If nothing comes to mind straight away, that's fine. Just hold your attention on that question. What would be awesome for me to transform? And each breath you take, you just feel inspiration coming more and more. What would be most awesome for me to transform? So for the rest of today, we're going to look at how you can keep rehearsing these positive transformations and how you can make them much more effective and faster. We're going to look at how you can do that in your own mind. We're also going to look at how you could write them down or create artwork for it. Or maybe you can look at pictures from great moments in your life to keep lifting up these positive transformations. Maybe we'll talk about vision boards. We're going to talk about really powerfully training ourselves regularly to be awesome. So for the very last part of the meditation, I just want you to revisit all those different ideas and themes and just see which things really stood out for you. Let yourself remember and reaffirm different feelings, different ways of relating, work, study, creativity, health, or whatever it is that came to mind. Maybe also revisit the idea of making your meditations great and making your transformation potential powerful. Just letting yourself revisit, remember whatever stood out for you. All the things that came to mind, just let yourself take some stronger breaths. Let it feel more powerful. Keep visiting them in your mind, keep feeling them, practicing, remembering other things, but take strong, powerful breaths. Pump yourself up. Yes, I'm going to make these transformations. I'm going to let this transformation grow. Alright, I think we should all stand up and have a stretch. Not just with your avatar. Stand up and have a stretch in real life. If you can't stand up, you still stretch your arms up as much as you can. Have a little bit of a twist with your shoulders so you can feel it down into your core. Yeah. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your nose, wiggle your toes. Maybe wiggle your butt and wiggle your shoulders. Just feel your whole body. And then take a deep breath in. When you sit back down, let yourself just revisit. Hey, what ideas did I just think of? What things would be really good to give myself as a gift? So we're going to open up to a sharing section. Anything that you loved from that, anything that you found really inspiring that you want to affirm to all of us. Maybe you felt some transformation or the beginning of some transformation you want to declare to the world, this is the new me. Questions or anything trickier, let's do that after. But we're just going to share now if it felt good or things that you found beautiful. Let's just ride the positive wave for the first little bit. Has anyone got anything they'd like to share from the meditation? D-Root.
I found breathing in powerfully really helps me because I am often dealing with tiredness. So that breathing in powerfulness, it keeps my center. I like that.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm amazed that such a simple thing, breathe powerfully, can make you feel powerful or energize you or make you focus. It's wild what we can do with our bodies and our minds if we just direct them in some ways. Would anyone else like to share? Archelius.
Kind of riding that same wave as the empowering feeling of just taking those deep breaths and really focusing on what it is you want to achieve. Personally, I found, like, most people can admit, like, oh, being responsible, getting all the tasks that you want done, and doing everything as properly as you can be a very rewarding sort of experience, but we oftentimes fall short just because, that's oftentimes human nature. Just being able to breathe in and imagine myself, say, doing all the tasks that I want as soon as possible, not procrastinating it, and really getting that gratifying sense of reward was mimicked in a sense with the more powerful breaths. Kind of a bit of a prelude to how amazing the actual act could be.
Awesome. Actually, and what you just shared made me think, what I'm hoping here is that you have one part of you that can rehearse being awesome. And at the same time, we're going to realize that everything we have done in the past is from programs, it's from habits. So we'll have a greater sense of accepting ourselves and a greater sense of being able to imagine and rehearse being awesome. So whatever you do, you're always kind to yourself. Like, oh yeah, this is what I could learn from there, or I did great there, or I feel good about what I just did. And I can still imagine next time I'll be more awesome. And sometimes when you're sitting and meditating, you're like, all right, I'm going to be the life of the party. I'm going to be amazing. Then you go to a party and you're like, you had a pretty good time. And you're like, yeah, good. Visualizing that helped a bit. But I'm just going to keep getting better and better. We're opening up to be kinder and kinder to ourselves, and also at the same time be able to imagine bigger. I say this because sometimes people could be hesitant to dream too big because they might expect themselves to be bigger. But expectation is a cause of suffering, because we're never going to be exactly what we hold on to or expect. So letting ourselves roll with things and be kind and cool and accepting of each moment and inspired to make everything better as we move forward. That's really what I want to help. Like, full power, that part of you that moves forward, and full power, that part of you that accepts this moment and the past. Pops, was that a hand? What's up?
I was also gonna say, what's up? I was also gonna say we also can't expect others to be, we can't hold others to expectations too of what they're going to be. Just as we, I think I got confused about what I was trying to say, but I think I know you know what I'm trying to say.
No, I think that's a wonderful reminder as we become more accepting and encouraging for ourselves. Being more deeply accepting and understanding of others helps us relate to everyone better and feel better in ourselves too. Thank you so much for the reminder. All right. Anyone else want to share before I give Zappy a quick summary of where we've been at? All right. So, Zappy, you just walked in. We just came out of a mental rehearsal where I asked everyone to feel that they can take a peaceful breath, they can take a happy breath, they can shift their attention. But we can also practice to become engineers of our mind. So if you practice yourself being peaceful and then you internalize that and practice it every day. Hey, what am I like if I move through the world more peacefully and at calm? You can retrain your brain like that. And then we looked at, hey, what are all the things we could retrain? How good would you like to feel? How happy, how strong, how confident? And then we looked at how we want to relate to people, to our friends, to strangers. And we were rehearsing and visualizing our best self. And then we were visualizing our best self in our work and in our creativity and in our health. And then I just opened it up to everybody. Hey, just visualize, imagine the best version of you in whatever ways you want. And we're going to now look at how to take the positive ideas that I hope you had and how to make them more effective, more powerful. And then afterwards, if some of you want to share some of the specific things you thought, oh yeah, I'd like to improve that. After we've looked at how to turn that into an effective brain program, into a powerful self-instruction, then you might also want to share some of the specific things you imagined that you're transforming. All right. Oh, crocheting a long scarf out there on YouTube Live just says, hey, I just got here. Welcome. Great to have you here. So, we were looking at all these ways to transform ourselves. And I want to look at how, as we become artists in our mind, as we're programming our mind, how can we make that more effective? And I'm going to do it with an example. Some of you might have heard this example before. It's very near and dear to me. It's something I want everyone in the world to be aware of. So I hope it just helps you feel it more if you've heard it before. But when I was young, I was very shy and awkward. I'd been teased. I'd learned attitudes from family and people that weren't very helpful when it came to relating. Hadn't really had much that had taught me how to relate, how to feel good. And so I had all these thoughts of like being shy and being awkward. And so you can imagine when I went out and wanted to talk to people, it didn't go very well. And I had spent a long time just thinking, I wish that they could see what I was really like. I wish I could just like be myself. And it didn't help. But so you might be thinking, well, what's the difference between that and what we just did? So that's what I want to focus on now. The difference between actually rehearsing and actually engineering ourselves compared to just hoping things are better. And so the way to engineer an effective thought is to be like, I'm going to practice this. And so to practice it, we want to practice what we actually want and not what we don't want. So to give an example, instead of saying, I wish I wasn't shy, I've got to turn it into, what do I actually want to wish? Or what I actually want to practice? I want to be relaxed around people. I want to feel good. So if you had some ideas while we were doing the meditation, just kind of do a mental scoop over all of them and be like, okay, which of those was I seeing as the positive change? And which of them was I seeing as like the negative thing? And if you saw some negative things like being shy or anxious, you're like, I want to be less anxious. I invite you to turn around. What if I just let go of that and be like, I feel comfortable. I feel good. And whatever the different things you thought of, just check in with them. Okay, am I actually seeing the thing that I will be practicing? Making it positive. Positive. So we're going to go through 4 different P's of how to engineer an effective transformation. So it's positive, not negative. And you can look more closely, like as I am making the positive thing, I'm actually practicing that thing. So I'm confident and relaxed. If that was just the words, I'm confident and relaxed around people, then it wouldn't really help. I want to actually imagine, I feel good around people and I can relate to them. So you make it a real thing, not just some idea. And I say that because sometimes when people create a positive thing, it's so abstract that you can't actually even practice the thing they've said. So you want it to be a positive, real thing. So that's the first P. The second P is to make it present tense. All those years of wishing that people would see myself being peaceful. I wish one day I'd be like that. That's not practicing it. That's like, it's so far removed from yourself, you don't actually get to rehearse it. So then you hear the difference between, I wish that I felt calm around people, or one day I'll be calm around people. Hear the difference between that and, I am calm around people and it feels good. I love being calm around people. When you bring it into the present tense, you get to actually rehearse it and you get to feel it, what it's actually like. So we're practicing right now. Right now I'm practicing it. So it's positive and it's present tense. And also make it first person. First person means me. I'm going to practice me feeling calm and good around people. What would I feel like if I feel good around everybody and I can express myself and I feel playful and creative people? That feels really good when I feel it in me now. Wow. So, positive, present tense, first person. And we also want to make it powerful. So visualizing it many times a day. Every time you do it, try and make it as vivid and as exciting and as awesome as possible. You might also want to add in some nice adjectives. So, I feel good around people. Maybe you want to transform that into, I feel awesome around people. I love to be around people. I vibrantly express myself. Like, the way you put the words into it, you might want to make them powerful. What really works as we're engineering ourselves is the things you visualize, the feelings that you practice, the specific ways you imagine being. That's what actually transforms us. But the words are a good way to kind of remind ourselves of that thing we're practicing. I am confident. I feel good with people. I love salads. I can shoot basketball hoops and they go in. I'm awesome. So yeah, now given those 4 criterias, positive, present tense, first person, and powerful, I want you to again revisit any of the ideas we had in the meditation. Was Zappy, you weren't here for the meditation? I just think, like, how awesome do I want to be? How awesome do I want to feel? How would I like to be in my relationships? How would I like to be in my work, in my creativity, in my health? What about how I relate to rainy days or long car trips or being in VR? Or how do I relate to how I meditate? How do I relate to my attitudes about stuff? Like anything in life. This applies to everything. So whatever the things you thought of, go through and see, can I think about what I'd want to practice in a way that's positive? Like specifically the thing I want. What would it be like to practice that I'm practicing it right now? It's first person. I'm practicing it and I'm going to try and make that powerfully. Actually, does anyone have any questions about that before I give us a bit of time to mentally do it?
What
Malise?
if it's only an excuse for covering up trauma and it's not really addressing the issue that people have as to why they wouldn't feel like that in the first place?
Dan, that's a great question.
Would it not be important to address the things like insecurity and stuff that's already within you and then change it and then, okay, how do I feel about these things now that I've dealt with the emotions that I've already had for whatever reason in my life experience? For them to change, as you were saying, transforming.
Good question. Now, it's a multifaceted question, but I'm going to give you a simple answer first. Now, let's just say that those 2 approaches, I've seen that trying to address and deal with stuff can often take a long time, maybe not even get very good results. And I've seen people radically transform themselves so that when they look back at the things they're insecure about, they're like, oh, wow, I just can't even relate to that anymore. That's actually an issue I was in that I've let go of. And so in terms of my simple answer is that I would say, I encourage you to try, just level up as awesome as you can. And that often actually resolves all or most of that other stuff. I had some things that I was caught up in, and I spent a long time trying to figure out, like, why did that happen to me, or how did I get like this? And eventually I was just like, what if it was just chaos that happened and I would never figure it out? What would it be like to just let go of that whole thing? And that was...
There's a way of dealing with it, though. You have to have the courage to face those things. You have to be willing to face those painful emotions. You have to sink and surrender into it.
Can we,
Alone.
Dan,
It's a lonely
Dan,
journey. You have to do it
Dan,
alone.
can we please not say you have to?
Yeah.
Because there are different approaches, and it's possible the one that someone said to you that you have to might not be optimal.
If
So
you're carrying it for a long time,
yeah,
it's your choice. Like, otherwise, it's just going to be there. But I get what you're saying. I understand where you're coming from.
okay. So, you want to go somewhere deep and dark? Let's go there. So, as well as being shy, I had also been bullied and beaten up, and I'd been holding a lot of hatred. A lot of hatred. I don't even want...
Like I was just explaining.
Yeah, I don't even want to describe how much hatred I had. It's a dark place. But I didn't go in and address the hatred. What I did was, as I learned meditation, I was introduced to kindness meditation. And I was presented the idea that we could have a world where people were understanding and kind and had compassion for one another. And without even thinking about the people I hated, I was just like, oh, well, that idea of kindness and compassion and a caring world, that seems better.
Mm.
And so every day I'd
That
meditate
in
on...
and of itself would be enough to be able to heal the pain that you've already felt. So I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah, I respect that, yeah.
So I want to
see
say,
what you mean.
you can see it, but I'll say it to everybody.
Okay.
Like, the people I hated, it wasn't enough to, like, just hear that idea to fix it. I meditated on compassion every day. And, like, a few weeks in, I was like, oh, wow, I'm feeling so much more love and
Forgive
happiness.
yourself enough so that you can let it go.
Yeah, and well, I actually felt more like I was growing this big jug of love every day. And then when I got to eventually face those people, I had this giant jug of love, just no matter how big the fire of anger was, I could just pour love on it and just turn it into love. And then when I was in like a pretty rough part of the world at the time, when I was faced with violence and stuff, I just had this massive jug of love. When I started to react poorly to the way that some of the people there were, I just pour some compassion in there, and then I could come in and be more powerful. And so in terms of that, like facing and going deep dark in, there might be some situations where with a skillful guide that can be helpful. But really, I want everyone at first to just like level ourselves up as awesomely as possible, because so many things, the solution actually is just something wonderful. Compassion heals hatred.
Yeah.
Feeling relaxed and comfortable around everyone will often heal the whatever insecurities you had. Thinking you've got a terrible memory or that you're just no good at stuff, going and succeeding and learning a bunch of things, doing it well, can heal those issues of thinking you're no good at stuff. So I want to focus on take that to the extreme, level up as much as possible. And where there's things that are stickier or harder, maybe variations of this technique can help with that. Or maybe that's the time where you can approach other techniques as well. Plus, you started by mentioning meditation and awareness. So if you combine this with deep mindfulness and watching very closely and calmly within ourselves and being able to let go of things, I've just seen those two techniques of awareness and letting go and creating as like this amazing synergy that can handle pretty much anything. So thanks for the gnarly hard question. I like to keep it real. I hope that was a good question, a good answer. Yeah, to make Dan's question applicable to all of you, maybe you thought of some stuff where you'd be like, oh, that's too hard to change, or I don't believe I could change that. I want you to be like, well, what if I just tried it? What if I just tried to imagine being something else in that part of my life? Or what if, someone else can deal with that situation? What if I just rehearsed being like that? What if I imagined it every day? Oh, I can't imagine it. Well, actually, you try imagining 3 times for 3 days. You'll start being able to glimpse it in a few days from now. And once you glimpse it, you can feel it more. And then you can grow it. And then you can internalize it deeper. And then you can get excited about the change that's happened. So I want to inspire you. Take what I'm suggesting to the limit. Like, be powerful with it. If there's something that was hard, I hope that this gives you the power to face it and come up with something awesome. Thanks, Dan. Does anyone else have any other questions about framing our transformations as the positive thing we want to practice? Framing it as I'm practicing it now, and I'm practicing that I'm doing it, and I'm going to practice it powerfully. Thanks, Lauren. Lauren's on the live stream. Just want to say thanks. Chef,
I just found that
Pops.
conversation interesting. I was just going to say, I found that conversation interesting. You both have slightly different schools of thought on how to best approach past bad events. I don't think I think different things work for different people. Like, yeah, it's completely fair to say, we don't want to generalize and say oh, people have to do X to get Y, right? Because there are different paths up the same mountain. That was an interesting question.
So, Pops, one thing I want to say about that is I actually believe that rehearsing what we're going to be, while the actual technique of how you visualize it, or whether you need a vision board, or whether you need friends to encourage you of it, the actual technique of we become what we practice, I actually think that's underlying to our brain. For everybody, some change you make is you've envisaged what the change is going to be, and somehow you got into it, and somehow you became more of that. And pretty much any other technique, any kinds of therapy or meditation, I've said this before, I either look through it through the lens of awareness and letting go, mindfulness, or I look at it as through the lens of somehow they've thought or felt something and they've rehearsed it. And maybe they took some really convoluted route to get there, and they just glimpsed it a little bit each time as they went up into the gnarly thorns, and then there's a little more glimpse of the goodness, and a little more glimpse of the goodness, and eventually they feel like they can rip themselves out of the thorns and be in the goodness half the time. I want to inspire us to imagine that when we think about ourselves, we feel liberated, and we can go straight into the awesome as much as possible. And yeah, you said, how much does it work for different people? I want to reiterate that I am actually suggesting 3 times a day, every day for a month, for the things you want to change. And the power that comes a few weeks in of doing that is just off the charts compared to when you first start doing it. So if you had a good meditation then, and there was a few moments where you're like, wow, that would be wonderful to have that calm, or whatever the changes you saw were, keep practicing it and see how amazing it gets. Or if you heard an idea where you're like, oh, that sounds like a good idea, but I don't know if I can do it. Try that 3 times a day and be amazed by how good it will feel. So I really want to reiterate the power here comes from rehearsing it and exploring it. And yes, I also hope that you have this lens where you will see the brain programs you're telling yourself all the time, and instead of just believing them, you have this awareness. You can be like, oh, actually, no, I'm not going to give that thought that power. So you're able to like constantly be aware of your brain programs and be nudging them in the right direction and letting go of the ones that don't help you. So yes, I hope that this is a perspective that then becomes part of every part of you. It's a perspective that I'm always seeing my brain programs. I'm always nudging them in the right direction. But I really hope, on top of that, you come up with some things you want to transform. You practice and rehearse them massively. And so here you were just nudging every part of you up. But then you take some part of you and you just practice it. I'm like awesome when I go to a party. Wow, it feels amazing. And then you see this giant change in yourself. And it kind of lifts up so much else of you when you take something and just make it so good. And then you take this other part of you and you rehearse that to be massively awesome. And then everything here also has to be lifted up. So I really encourage you to just take a few things inside of you and just push them to the limit. Like rehearse powerfully, regularly how awesome that you would like to be in that part of your life. And see how wonderful you can make it. Because you do that with a few parts of you. Not only does it lift up all the other related parts, but then when you think about yourself, you're like, oh wow, I'm wild. I'm powerful. My consciousness is amazing. And you're then nudging everything else up more awesomely because you're just so confident in yourself. So yes, different techniques work differently for different people. There are so many different techniques that are kind of hoping to get to this point of visualizing transformation. What I'm hoping to suggest right now is that get straight to that point of rehearsing the transformation. And yeah, I actually think all other techniques are just trying to point to this technique. Diru?
Yes, I was going to say, in addition to that, for me, visualizations are actually really hard for some reason, but I've discovered that chanting or using words of affirmations can be much more powerful for me. In fact, I've actually seen this in my dreams when I'm doing lucid dreaming. I try to imagine shapeshifting just by visualizing it, and nothing happens. Nobody responds. But if I start repeating the words, they become really powerful, and I actually change forms. And it's the same thing I notice with meditation and what you're talking about right now. Even though I'm not wonderful at the visualization yet, I do find that when I'm breathing in, I try to imagine, I'll say words in my mind as I'm breathing in to where the breath almost makes that word. And it does feel powerful, like I really feel something. So that's the angle I'm taking of this too, or to use that technique. Pardon my cat.
Diru, the bell happened and then I couldn't really hear you after that.
Oh, I was just saying that it's when I'm breathing, I can use, put certain words into my breath, and that allows words of empowerment, for example. And I'll say, like, this is an awesome breath. I'm feeling really good. I am more mindful. My boundless friendliness is increasing massively. But as I'm breathing, I'm tying these together, and it seems to really work. I can really feel something, unlike with the visualizations, where I'm not feeling anything yet with those. So that's just my variant of what you're teaching us.
Two things I want to clarify is that I was saying before, we phrase it as first person positive, present tense, and powerful. I was actually talking about making a sentence. I feel good around people. I feel good around people. It's like a foundation that you can keep coming back to. You might not be able to visualize it, but you can say the words. So yeah, absolutely, turning this into a sentence. But they found that just repeating sentences works for some people, and it doesn't work for others. And so my understanding is that when you're saying the sentences, it like invokes the feeling. And you might not be visualizing it, but like you're ideating it. Like you say, oh, I feel relaxed around people, I feel relaxed around people. And maybe you're not seeing yourself being like, hey, but I feel relaxed around people, I feel relaxed around people. And you have the idea of what it's like to be relaxed around people. And maybe your conscious mind doesn't visualize clearly, but your subconscious mind is like, yeah, I get that. I'm doing that. So as you repeat it, you are rehearsing it. So if we can practice making our visual mind stronger, then we can step into that in some way. But whichever ways your conscious mind is engaging, that's what I'm encouraging people to do. So if someone's saying, I feel confident around people, I encourage you all to also try and feel, I feel confident around people. Okay, I'm trying to engage the feeling. And also try and have the idea of what that's like. And also try to feel how your body is. And also try to visualize it. So when I say visualize, I guess mostly I mean like all kinds of rehearsal. Words and feelings and concepts and physically moving. You're rehearsing all of it. And yeah, the visual element is just one part of it. Next time you're saying something positive to yourself, if you imagine being in that situation and being awesome without even trying to visualize it, just try and live it in whichever way that happens for you. I think you'll find like, oh yeah, actually just doing it somehow, that feels great.
Today's Monday, 13 o'clock, 1.
Welcome. We're in here having an awesomeness session. Come on in. So yeah, Pops, you were saying about different techniques. I guess like the way that we direct our minds is different for different people. What feels good or feels powerful is different depending on what state you're in at the time. But ultimately, I think it's what we practice is what transforms us. So Deeru, thanks for giving a really good example of that. Like for you, the words, but actually you said the words are powerful, but you also told us that gives you the good feelings. So the feelings are part of it for you. So yeah, we want to try and engage as much of ourselves in the transformations as possible.
Oh yeah, I'm using every technique I can actually, and just to amplify that, and it really does work.
Awesome. Oculus Prime just arrived. I'm going to give them a little overview, and I hope the rest of you, as you hear this, try and level up and refocus the awesome. So we were looking at how what we keep practicing shapes us. You know, people go through their life running on a bunch of programs. Oh, I'm no good at that thing. Oh, I can't visualize, or I always forget stuff, or I'm shy around those people. Like people not only are telling themselves programs, they even tell their programs to other people. Good programs and not helpful programs. And so we're all running on these programs all the time. So then we did a workshop, a visualization, a meditation, where we were imagining ourselves being awesome. How do you want to feel if you could practice whatever feelings you want? How do you want to relate to people if you could practice however you want to relate? And we were practicing awesomeness in everywhere. And then we looked at how can you turn that into like a sentence that you can rehearse to keep reinforcing the transformation. So like, I feel relaxed and good around everybody. Or I feel calm in exams. I'm focused in exams. Or, hey, I got to be at school anyway. I may as well love learning every moment. And so everyone was visualizing their own stuff, whatever they wanted to make awesome in their life. And then I got people to try and make it positive, first person and present tense, and powerful. So Deeru, making it powerful, that might be making the tone of your voice beautiful. Or it might be putting in some awesome adjectives. Or you might notice that you can direct the feeling as you say it, so then you just like let it feel more amazing. Or you might feel that like there's ideas and concepts that come with it, so you make them awesome. Yeah, you're bringing that rehearsing in as many ways as beautifully, as awesomely as you can.
And just everything that makes me smile.
That's beautiful. Thank you. All right. Oculus, you want to grab a cushion?
Oh, sure.
You just point at it, hands down, and then you can click. All right. Trigger click. Does anyone else have any other...
Oh, there it is.
Hey,
Thank you.
welcome to the temple. Does anyone else have any other questions or reflections before I give us a bit of time to revisit the transformations? Pops.
I just wanted to share, when I was meditating, I felt like I had this image of, very strong image. I've been doing a lot of meditation just today, of me almost befriending the difficult parts of myself, both attributes that I may want to lessen or move away from, as well as things from the past that I'd like to stop thinking about so I can think about new things. And it was a very, just this like powerful imagery in my head of just like letting go of that. And then I just felt like, wrapped in like a warm blanket, or like I was in like a hot tub after like I had like that visual in my mind. It was really cool.
Well, I just felt wrapped in a warm blanket. Wait, do I want to take a warm blanket into a hot tub? Somehow I was doing them both at the same time and it was good. Thanks, Pops. Yeah. Actually, I like that idea. Like, what if you went through your mind and, like, as a friend, just went and put love and warmth through every part of you? Yeah, that's beautiful for sharing. Thanks. All right, so we're going to do another little meditation. That idea of taking whatever transformations you wanted to have in yourself, turn it into a sentence that's positive. It's not the negative, it's the positive. It's present tense. It's first person. So it's I am awesome. But then you make it powerful. I'm wildly, happily, amazingly awesome. So go through and think of all the different ideas you've heard tonight. Think of the ones that stand out for you, that are important for you. Turn it into that positive, first person, present tense, powerful sentence. Say it to yourself a few times. Visualize it. It might not feel right, so like change the sentence or change how it feels. And yeah, my hope is that you'll come away with at least a few positive statements that you'll want to keep practicing, that will be so worth it. You're like, oh yeah, actually this would be amazing to transform this. I want to visualize and feel this and imagine this and emotionalize and rehearse this. I want to just do that so much until obviously that's just completely transformed. All right, so everybody take a deep breath. You can close your eyes if you want. Probably better too. Just stepping into yourself. You just start with yourself. Hey, I can say positive statements. I can imagine positive change. I'm making this part of me better and better. I can deeply envisage change. It's not just on the surface. As I imagine things changing, I'll imagine changing how I act, but also how I feel, and even deep down. I can rehearse my entire self changing. I'm getting better and better, more empowered, more conscious, fully, deeply the master, the creator of my consciousness. Now I'm going to go and think about the different areas of my life, and each thing that stands out, I'm going to rehearse it being awesome. I'm going to find that sentence, the thing I'm going to practice. I am positive, powerfully. I love salads. I am calm around people. I'm confident with equations. I can relax really well in that situation. I'm great at ultimate frisbee. I laugh so much. It's just letting yourself revisit, remember, or even create some new ones. Different parts of your life. Feel yourself that you're transforming them. You're getting ready for them to get massively more transformed. You might have no ideas coming, or you might have many. But just holding that intention, seeing things I'm going to transform. And when one comes to mind, kind of hold on to for a little bit, make it more powerful, make it more clear what you're going to say, what you're going to intend, what you're going to practice. Hold that for a while, and then let your mind just kind of search and explore again. Practicing the most awesome version of you, the empowered, enlightened version of you. What kind of feelings do you want to practice for the rest of your life? You can probably feel those positive feelings just growing and feeling better and better right now. How do you want to relate to people? If you got stuck on something, just ask yourself, what would be the most awesome way to be here? What would the wisest, most powerful, brilliant person do in that situation? Maybe you want to imagine that I ask myself great questions. I pose awesome possibilities to my amazing mind, and my mind comes up with great answers.
Hello.
And just check, are there any other areas in yourself that you'd like to open this space of awesomeness for? Anything in what you create in your community, or anything in your art or your music, anything in your income. Anything in your meditations. And I hope you feel this practice of envisaging the best you, feeling that, ideating that, visualizing it. This practice has a potential to make you feel great in every aspect of your life. It can make you improve in every aspect of your life. It can open up whole new ways of being. It can transform any and every part of you. And I hope you feel excited. This is something you can keep revisiting. Keep visualizing and rehearsing specific things. And also visualizing and rehearsing the best possible you as you craft a beautiful life for yourself. As you craft an awesome character for yourself as a gift to yourself and to everyone around you. And while we're going to wrap up this meditation soon, I hope you're inspired that it's something you'll revisit. Perhaps once a month, you'll regenerate new awesome thoughts, and then you'll have a whole month of making those great. Whichever ideas stood out to you today, whether it's 2 or 3 of them, or 5 or 6 of them, I hope there's some that you're excited enough that you want to keep practicing, keep saying to yourself, keep chanting to yourself. Find some artwork that you stick up around the house that can keep you feeling and visualizing it. Find some songs that capture the awesomeness that you can keep playing and dancing to as you visualize and rehearse being amazing. Hope some of the things you saw are exciting and compelling enough that you want to keep doing it many times a day. Fill yourself with this new way of being until it just overflows, just keeps powering up until it transforms you, and the old stuff is just also transformed. Every part of you is becoming this goodness. Please, please, please try it. If some of those transformations seemed worth it, please, please try. Just visiting it many times a day. How beautiful it gets as you keep practicing and keep envisaging and keep feeling it better and better. I hope you get awesome at constantly nudging every thought about yourself in ways that are more empowered and more free. For the rest of your life, you steer your path better, happier, easier, more good. And so everyone, I've just noticed the time. I now have to go. I encourage everyone that's here to try and keep practicing your best self. I'd actually love it if you guys shared the positive thoughts that you thought of. I know it's quite personal, it's quite vulnerable, but it can be a great way to actually be community, to be friends, to share the ways that you're growing, so you can keep encouraging it with each other. You can affirm it to them next time you see them. So as I leave, I wish for you that this helps you even more than it ever helped me. I wish for you amazingly great feelings, confidence and transformation. And I hope to see you again here soon. Thank you so much, everybody.